Welcome back to the show. And now we're getting to our album reviews, and we're joined by a special guest, Jamil Davis, Florida State coordinator at Black Voters Matter Fund, and also the new host of the BLKFLA Podcast. Jamil has been on countless times in the past, many album reviews, many rap debates. Thanks so much for being back on, man.
Listen, I'm overjoyed to be back on here. It is a far cry from the topics that I have to discuss on BLKFLA the podcast.
Yeah,
So it's great. It's great. We don't have to talk about anything that is politically related, and I am overjoyed. We just get to talk about music. We just get to talk about
absolutely.
music. Yes.
Definitely, man. We got a lot of albums to discuss, and to start off with the first one with KAYTRANADA's Timeless. He had, bro, just an array of so many different artists, so many different sounds. And I think the majority of the artists really showcase what he does best in terms of the mixing of just different styles overall, and the production phenomenal as always. I thought there were a lot of highlights throughout this, but this was a great summer album. I think he dropped it at the right time, dropped it beginning of June. Knew when to actually put this out, and so many times when we have these compilation albums, like we see with DJ Khaled, he puts people that shouldn't be together on the song, and it's just like it's not a good mix. This one, great mix. So many spots were fit perfectly, and I think it's a really good project. To you, kind of like, what were your overall thoughts on this
No,
album?
nah, like he hit it out the park again. Like
Yeah,
it's that every time you get a K Tronada album, you know it's gonna be legit. Um, excuse me.
God
You
bless.
know it's gonna be legit. You know it's gonna be on. The highlight of the entire album for me is just the diverse artist that's on the album, the collaborations that you have on some of the songs, but truthfully, um, Rochelle Jordan, Rochelle Jordan is the MVP for the entire album. The songs that she is on this album is phenomenal. Like you hit us with her on the first like real song
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
whole album, and then Childish Gambino on Witchy.
Hmm. I love that one.
I'm just like it's
Absolutely love it.
yeah. Yeah, this is an incredible album, and this is definitely getting thrown in the summer playlist for real. Um, and I
Because he did one with Amine last year, right? He did, yeah. So
yes,
I mean, back to
yes,
back summers. He's
like
putting out
K Tronada running the
really dope
summers
music.
for real.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Um, yeah, man. So many good features. The Due to Me, the Anderson Paak and Sir Joint.
yes,
That was really good. Thundercat, obviously. Man, it's countless. I mean, this is the type of album. Even though it's 21 songs, there are so many tracks I would go back to. And I think a lot of times, with these projects, even when they're longer and it's more of a lengthier degree, we can kind of be like, man, is this too much? But to you, like, what do you think about when an artist puts out an album that is like, it is a bloated type of number, but at the same time he kind of knows the right spots to put artists and not have it to be something that's like overbearing or too much.
so I'm from that era where cats was dropping 16, 18 song, 16, 18
Yeah.
song albums, and sometimes it worked, and then sometimes you would look at these albums and be like, well, if he took these four songs off, it would be a classic. You know,
Right.
Cass was out here dropping double. Cass was out here dropping double
Oh, did.
albums for rap
Yeah.
albums, and you would be like, well, he could remove these and just have one CD, and and the whole concept of this would work. That's not the
Yeah.
case for this album. Every every song really fits perfectly within the scope of the album, and it's almost to the point where for 21 songs you might have been able to like really eliminate three or four and
Yeah, still have a good album.
still have a great album. But even with the 21 songs, it's still an incredible album all the way.
Yes, yeah, man. And to our next review, the foreign exchange, we mentioned this with their two new songs, The Gray and I Couldn't Love You More, this EP, which is, I mean, so good, so much replay, so much replayability in two songs. I've never run back two songs more than those in recent time. Honestly, getting that two pack, and it's so dope to see them come back. Obviously, with what Fonte does, I mean, he is like year after year, just kind of like defying what we kind of see artists aging. Like he's getting better. Honestly really getting better, and he's like vastly talented. Um, this was really dope. This was a treat, honestly, and I think getting this was really, it was something that I didn't expect. It kind of really kind of caught me off guard, but when I look at it, I was like, oh, we got to review this. Like, this is something that we need to hear more of, and just there's a purity and just kind of like a artistic quality behind what they put out, and I think this one was just another highlight of that. Like, to you, kind of like, what were some of your takeaways from these tracks?
Um, I I appreciate that the Gray. I appreciate Fonte coming through rapping, um,
Yes.
because he when you get a foreign exchange album after the first one dropped, the connected LP, um, there's more singing Fonte than there is rapping Fonte with foreign exchange, and I think that's the brand for them.
Of foreign exchange.
Especially now with the reunion of Little Brother as a duo. I think that's the brand that he goes for when he's dealing in his foreign exchange bag. But it's nice that the first single, because I mean, I'm expecting an album sometime soon from Foreign Exchange.
I was thinking that. Yeah,
It,
this was just like, hey, this was like a heads up of like, hey, we're dropping an album
yes, yeah.
soon.
And if we ain't dropping it soon, we in the studio working on it. So expect it. And but I appreciate that the first single, if you will, that we get is him rapping. Now the B side, the B side, which the dub song, marvelous, like
Yeah, it's a great
like
song.
marvelous. I was just like the day it dropped, um, the day it dropped, I think I really like ran it back at least 5 to 6 times the day it dropped because I was just like, oh man, it's we get the foreign exchange again.
And that's such a treat. Like, when you get a foreign exchange like update and a notice that they dropped something, oh man, I'm rushing to it.
Yes,
I'm rushing to it. I gotta listen to it now.
and
This
it was just immediate too. Like Fonte and Nicolay on their respective IGs just dropped the front cover of their shadows and was like the Gray midnight this date, and I was like, wait a minute, music,
okay.
like okay, okay. so
Yes.
so nah, man, I'm honestly legitimately anticipating this album just based off these two songs alone, and I really enjoy I really enjoyed what I heard, and I just really enjoy hearing rapping rapping Fonte. And I think the thing with that is I almost believe that Fonte is in that bag of um I think Fonte is in that bag of rap has gotten I've gotten so used to just to rapping that it's easy for me. And I'm almost bored with it. but not bored to the point of how Andre is bored to where he's telling people, I'm 49 years old. Y'all want me to rap about um, getting colonoscopies at 49? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I do, brother. Yeah,
I mentioned that me and Savon talked about that, about just how we were just so like disappointed that that's what he thinks, that we wouldn't want to hear just him talking about the Monday. Like, bro, yes, anything you rap about is going to be super intriguing, and it's going to be inspiring for us because we know that you are one of the greatest MCs we've ever had.
yeah.
And the one thing you haven't given us that we've always wanted is just that full solo rap album.
I I think we are. I think we are at the point right now. I think we're at the point right now where if Andre 3000 gave us just one solo rap album, and he never comes back and makes another solo rap album, if it's half as good as Aquemini, if it's half as good as Aquemini,
Yeah.
he will be solidified as the greatest MC, as greatest MC of all time. I think the only reason that people are very hesitant on giving him that title is just because he don't have a solo album yet,
Yeah.
and that's
That's it.
and that's literally it. So, but rapping Fonte is rapping Fonte is spectacular on this joint, The Gray, and looking
And
forward to this album.
he's yeah, man. I mean honestly, we did a list with I think it was earlier in February about like top 5 favorite MCs ever, and I mean he's in my top 5 favorite MCs. Like Fonte's cold. Fonte is cold with it, and I think Foreign Exchange, um, he, like you said, Little Brother, they're coming back, and we're getting that rapping Fonte, but he was like, I'm not gonna completely just like hold it off for this one. I'm still gonna like let you know, hey, I still can bar up, I still can do what I have to do.
Right.
But we know what the Foreign Exchange brand is. And this album though, whenever I probably might drop in the fall, we never know. But whenever it does drop, I think it's gonna be one of the best albums of the
Absolutely.
year. Like it's gonna be one of the best
Absolutely.
albums
It
of the year.
is.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and now getting to our next review with which I guess we can start with Common and Pete Rock's new song, because that's the one I know for you, like listeners, if you don't know, Jamil is just he's just waiting for that album to drop.
Like,
July 12th cannot come soon
it,
enough,
it really can't.
because man,
It really
these
can't.
guys, the new track, all kind of ideas. This is one of the best ones that they've dropped honestly recently. I was a big fan of Dreamin'. Wise Up was really good, but I think all kind of ideas. We get that Pete Rock verse, like you said, and we also just see Common. I think Common is year after year in terms of like rappers in that like latter half of their career. It's just so pinpoint. It's still sharp, and these two together, it's gonna be one of those albums. I think that we are going to just be. It's gonna feel so pure as a hip hop album. It's gonna be one of those like, man, this is taking me back to that era. This is giving me all the feels of
Right.
like what rap has been, and we've like had the questions about, is rap dead in 2023 of last year, and even this year. This has been the year of beef, honestly. But I think this album, though, man, whatever they have cooking up fully from these 3 singles, it's gonna be dynamic.
Like all kind of ideas. Literally every joint that they have dropped has been Pete Rock in his bag when it comes Pete Rock in his bag when it comes to the production. And so I I've been saying to people that and I'll say it publicly here, I feel like we're going to get the Nas and DJ Premier album this year too, based off the song that they dropped earlier in the year. If we don't get it this year, then it's definitely going to be um, next year.
Hmm.
But my thing is, I think this Common and Pete Rock album is going to be a little bit better than the Nas and DJ Premier album. And the reason I'm saying that is because Pete Rock, production wise, is staying in his bag. He is staying in the lane. that we all respect Pete Rock for. DJ Premier is in the DJ Premier bag, but he is in the DJ Premier new DJ Premier bag. Like it's not necessarily a thing of how when you get producers that's been producing in the past and then they come into this era and they now want to do what the kids are doing.
Yeah.
It's still boom bap primo, but the samples, the sampling is is a bit off. Like the sample choices are like, mm, you could have did a little bit
That
better
is interesting.
with
Yeah, the
this.
sampling has been kind of questionable.
Um,
It has been questionable.
with Pete Rock, Pete in his bag. Nothing's changing. It is what we expect from Pete Rock time after time again. Like
Yeah.
you are getting the same feeling from these songs that you got when you first heard Nas's "The World Is Yours." When you first heard
Mm,
when you first heard They Reminisce Over You. When you first heard Run DMC's "Down with the King." Um, like you getting that type of feeling
yeah.
with these songs and um all kind of ideas. I was anticipating this song because Common put a snippet of the song on his IG and he
I saw that.
said,
Yeah.
I'm really anticipating y'all hearing this song because this is the song with the Pete Rock verse. And I was like, let's go.
You know what? That's what I love about these two is that like they just want to see the other win so bad, and it's like I never feel in some duos, collab albums, it's like I don't know. Some guys they want the attention more. You can kind of tell that doesn't feel genuine about when they're collabing. This one it feels just so pure, and it's like yo, Common was as excited, even more excited than probably we were that we were getting that P Rock verse.
Literally, I think people forget this also. The last time that Pete Rock did a collab album was in 2016 going into 2017.
Wow.
He did the collab album with Smoke DZA, Don't Smoke Rock, and that was literally at the time I was writing for a blog. Um, I was writing for a blog, and at the time that album dropped, that was one of my top 10 albums of the year
Mm,
because it was the same deal. Pete Rock don't sway from what it is that he does as a producer.
right.
He sticks to the script and he chooses incredible artists to do collab albums with because it's literally Pete Rock from Mount Vernon, Smoke DZA from Harlem. They had they had incredible features on the album.
Yes.
My favorite song on that album is Black Superhero Car with Rick Ross. Rick Ross.
Oh yeah, man.
Let's think about this for a minute. Rick Ross over a Pete Rock beat. I have to say nothing else. I literally have to say nothing.
Speaks for itself. Speaks for itself.
Like just think of just think of because people get upset with me when I say this, but they can keep getting upset. Rick Ross is this era's Notorious B.I.G. So it's literally in the same mind frame of imagine hearing Biggie Smalls on a Pete Rock beat because that's halfway never happened. So imagine hearing Biggie Smalls on a Pete Rock beat, and that's what you get when you hear Rick Ross over this Pete Rock beat with Smoke. The song is incredible. It's phenomenal, and and Common and Pete Rock is giving us this same energy on this one. So when the auditorium comes out this year,
Mhm.
y'all don't. I mean, y'all about to get something phenomenal, bro. Like I I really feel like out of all of the albums that's dropping this year, for me, for me, this gonna be my album of the year because it's gonna give me that feeling of mid mid 90s hip hop for real.
Yeah, that's special.
Yeah.
That's really special, man. To get something like that. I was gonna mention because in terms of, I mean, we're at the halfway point of the year. Obviously, we've gotten some good albums. I think the Vince Staples album has been one I've gone back to a lot. Vince, that one had to grow on me, honestly. That one definitely had to grow on me. But Vince is in a pocket. Um, Schoolboy Q's Blue Lips. I occasionally go back to the No Worries and Anderson .Paak album. The I think is it the Y Lord.
Hmm.
Yeah, that album so good. Savon thinks it's boring, but I disagree with him. I fully disagree with him.
I I low
That
key
that that album.
I low key been telling people I feel like I feel like because we haven't really heard word for real of what's happening in Anderson Paak's personal life. I feel like it's the Hear My Dear album. I
Yep,
feel like it's the divorce album. Like
yep.
I feel like it's the breakup album.
It's the that's exactly what somebody else said. They said this is a breakup album. This feels like a breakup album.
Yeah,
And he's been very quiet about his personal life, and I think this one was, yeah,
yeah.
this one told a lot for sure.
That's where that's where I'm at with it. I am Cat Pack, which is a group comprised of um, Amber um, Amber Navrin from Moonchild, um,
Ooh.
Amber Navrin and Phil Brudeau. I forget who the third. I forget who the third person is. It's like two guys. It's two guys and Amber, similar to Moonchild, but it's a whole other type group deal. Cat Pat album is ridiculous. Um,
Bro,
Cat Pat album is
I'm
ridiculous.
listening tonight.
Let me
I'm
be
listening
clear. Let
tonight.
me be very, very, very clear. Um, Rhapsody's album should be getting the same. It should be getting the same type of attention that we gave Killer Mike's album last year.
Yeah, that one isn't getting talked about a lot.
Rhapsody's
But
album is phenomenal and should be studied just as much as we studying a lot of these other albums. Like Rhapsody's album is amazing. Um, Layla Hathaway's new album, Dance of Black, is an awesome and incredible album that came out this year. Um, Montez Ford, if y'all know Montez Ford is a wrestler in the WWE with the Street Profits. Montez Ford dropped an album called God is Good.
hmm, it's good.
I'm wilding. Like like
Wow.
I was looking at the album and went and listened to it and I was like Montez Ford out here with bars for real? Like who how? What? Like what are we doing? Of-
It's eight songs, 8 song album.
yes.
Okay, dope.
Of course we of course it would we can't go on a halfway point of the year best albums type deal without not mentioning Cowboy Carter, because I really don't want the
Mm.
Beehive to come for you, good brother.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Look, y'all. We have to address that. We got to address that one because my co-host is put that album down so much, and I told him he shouldn't have. I told him he shouldn't have done it. I tried. He wanted to. I mean, he wasn't ducking the smoke for this one. Obviously, technical difficulties, but that album, yes, man. That was a really good album. I have it. I don't have it at the same level I do as Renaissance because I think Renaissance is like an A+ type album. I think Renaissance is so sequenced so well. It's sequenced so well, and it also is one of those. Um, it also is one of those where I think she was in. She found the right lane um, for a summer album, and also one that was expressive, and it was a true dance album. I think some people when they get into dance music, it's like, oh, like I'm gonna like kind of tamper with it a little bit, try to just like feel it out. But this one, she was like, no, I'm fully immersive dance album.
Definitely.
But yo, but Cowboy Carter, man,
Incredible,
yeah.
incredible album from beginning to end. Um, and I think we can't go without saying just how important that album is to the overall culture of what it is that we're trying to do in reclaiming genres of music that was at one point not looked at as um, genres of music that's ours, so to speak. Um, but that,
So
that,
you weren't, so you personally, because I got the pushback that I got from people that said they said that they didn't like it was that they felt as though this wasn't an authentic representation because like she's getting into a genre that isn't hers. She's like she's just picking apart for she's not it's not a true country album. I think honestly the fact that she reclaimed it, that she's going on this act 1, act 2, then eventually the act 3, that's genius. The fact that she's saying like, yo, let me go into each of these genres that were originally ours, and then I'm gonna show you guys the roots of it. I know people have had pushback for it, but I think that's what makes this her reclaiming it, like you said, um really the unique part of it. And again, listeners, I do want to say this. Beyonce, she's one of the GOAT artists that we have. And there is gonna be criticism when it comes to uh everything that she does. They're gonna nitpick it, but I do think they're reclaiming the genres, and I know you were just saying it, but I think that part of it is what really makes it just so um, impressive and admirable.
yeah, absolutely. And for those people who state that the album, the album isn't completely a country album for real. Um, hold on a second. Um,
Got it.
for those people that's like really saying this isn't a country album for real, no, no, like, like total incomplete nonsense because it has strong country elements
It does.
from beginning to end, and once again, it's a reclaiming of a genre that we created that then was taken as though it isn't something that we created. So what would the genre in and of itself have evolved to if
Mm,
it continued to be something that we that we held on to.
yeah,
Um,
that's very true.
and so my last album, if you will, and it's not so much of an album, but it's like a thing that I make light of. Um, I make light of as a joke, if you will. It is what I like to call I like to call it the Meet the Grams EP.
I saw that recently.
Like I like to call it the Meet.
I was looking up, because I honestly, I was waiting for him to address this, because I mean, it's one of the highlights of the year, Drake and Kendrick.
Yes,
But I was really just, I've been, me and Tyler, we've been doing this, you know, when a couple weeks ago when we were on vacation, just playing all the tracks, going back and forth, and I was just wanting to just do it. Then I looked up the Meet the Grams, and I saw a Meet the Grams EP, and I was like, "Yo, who put this together?" And I saw it was you, and I was like, "Of course he would do that. Of course he."
literally. Literally, it is literally all four songs, all four major songs that Kendrick put out within the beef. I was like, yo, I found all four of them on Spotify. Let's put an EP together and keep it moving. No, Kendrick Lamar has solidified himself as the greatest MC of his generation, and he did it with this beef. The moment he dropped the verse on Future and Metro Boomin's like that,
Like,
and then J. Cole drops the song and then apologizes for the song. Shout out to Schoolboy Q for being a real friend. Like let's keep this all the way 100. Shout out to Schoolboy Q for being a real friend and letting J.
yeah,
Cole know this not this you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. Bro don't have no problems with you. You don't want to do this. Um so here's my viewpoints on it, and then
yeah. I really do want to. I really want to get
yeah.
your full take on this. I want the like the big picture take.
Here's my viewpoints on it, and then we'll leave it be. Family Matters would have ended any other rapper.
That was fire.
Family Matters would have ended any other rapper. I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those Kendrick fans who 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 doesn't have the energy to give credit where credit is due. Family Matters would have ended any other rapper. Family Matters essentially is Drake's back to back for this beef. It ended
In
anybody
2024,
else.
it's the updated 2024. Yeah,
It ended anybody else. Kendrick Lamar is not anybody else.
no,
Like, and that's not me. That's honestly not me just being on Kendrick Jock, as the kids like to say, and all the things. Like,
that was the red button track. He always said there's a red that like for anybody like you said that was the detonator. I will never forget that Friday night. I will never forget it.
that Friday night was,
Everybody,
listen,
that was one of the greatest hip nights in hip hop history. I will never forget it, bro.
I
Absolutely.
was literally out with a friend of mine eating at 904 Tacos here in Jacksonville,
Mm.
eating three chicken tacos when another friend of mine texted me the link for Family Matters. It's like, bro, where are you at? I was like, yo, I'm out, bro. Like, they was like, nah, you need to be in the house. I was like, what? And then he sends me the link, and I look at it. I was like, yo, Drake respond. I was got in my car,
Dash,
got in my car and
dash.
did it
It's
right
time to
back
hit
to
the
my
crib. It's
crib.
time to hit the crib.
And I looked at Family Matters, and no sooner did I look at Family Matters, because I was out, so I didn't see Family Matters when it first dropped, like everyone else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got
So
you.
I didn't. It wasn't the whole thing of everybody else saw Family Matters and was like, "Oh my god!" And then 30 minutes later,
Boom.
here comes me. No, for me, it was Family Matters. 5 minutes after I get done listening to Family Matters, I get an alert on my phone,
That's crazy.
and it was
Like I had it like you said. I'm in that the first group you mentioned where we got some time to process at 30 minutes. You know, we're just still coming off the high Family Matters,
mhm,
and then 30. But no, you get it like 5 minutes. That
5 minutes
is a crazy
because
turnaround.
I was out. Because
Yeah,
I was,
because you
I
were
was out, so I didn't see it when everybody else saw it. So I was just like, I'm watching Family Matters, and then my phone go off, and it's my bro, same guy who texted me the Family Matters link. He was like, "Man, Kendrick responded." I was like, "Bro, I'm literally looking at." He's like, "Nah, like Kendrick responded."
you know, and you know how people have those references of the past, like yo, where were you when Kennedy got shot? That's gonna be like ours, like, hey, where were you when Family Matters and P three was shot?
Right, bro. Like, and it was crazy because same thing with Euphoria. Euphoria should have been. I promise you, Euphoria should have been the one that should have taken Drake out. But then Drake came with Family Matters, and everybody was like, "Oh, man!" And then
And also not only that, 616 in LA dropped the morning of Family Matters and Meet the
yes,
Grahams. That's another thing.
that was everyone's whole day. You wake up, it's 6:16 in LA. Later on in the evening, it's Family Matters. 30 minutes after Family Matters, it's Meet the Grahams. And literally 15 minutes after Meet the Grahams, it's the victory lap.
Yeah, man.
It's the literal victory lap. Like all of this happened in the span of one night going into the next early morning.
I ain't even lie. Then yeah, the next day, that next morning, I felt exhausted after all that
I
happened.
did.
That was an exhausting like this was a lot to
I
process.
did. I did not wake. I like because the next day was a Saturday. I did not wake
Oh
up the
yeah,
next day until like 11 in the
yeah,
morning because I stayed up the whole night watching Beef Mania 2020, 2024. But
yeah, man.
Euphoria, any other person, that would have taken them out. But
Is that your favorite one out of all of the disses, Euphoria?
absolutely, absolutely. I love Not Like Us for the moment.
Yeah,
I love Euphoria for
the long lasting
for
one.
for the lyrics. Like Euphoria is the one. Um, for me, it's Euphoria, 616, They Not Like Us, and Meet the Grams.
Grams.
That's what it
Six
is.
sixteen. I think is some of the best rapping in the entire beef. He
Yes,
was going off on that.
yeah,
Yeah, like yeah.
bro,
I
bro,
think that's the underrated, the most underrated one.
bro was phenomenal, and Drake should have known he wasn't getting away with Taylor Made, like he wasn't getting away with Taylor Made freestyle. Like he should have known that.
I think, and that's my thing. Tailor made freestyle is where everything changed. That's where like it was getting to a point where Kendrick's like, I still want to take you out, but Tailor made freestyle was like, oh man, like you went there, like, and I think also we just that was at the point where we just didn't know when Kendrick was going to respond. We were obviously we knew it was going to happen, but at that point, I think people had Drake winning, but also after the pop out, right at like the chorus of Not Like Us, he's like, so we're not gonna let anybody disrespect our legends. So like when he said that, I was like, oh, he's talking about Taylor May. Like he has not forgotten that, because I think that's the
Oh,
one that irked him the most.
like that's the thing he hasn't forgotten. That's the thing he doesn't want to. That's the thing he doesn't want to forget. And
Yeah,
no, like shout out to this because it shout out to this because it was a real cultural reset, and it put us in the place that we needed to be at, to really accept the culture. Because if you notice, anytime that Kendrick anytime that Kendrick is talking about things that he's trying to end or things that he doesn't appreciate, he's always talking about the industry. I tell people all the time, it's a difference between the rap industry and hip hop cult and the culture. Hip hop culture and
yeah,
the rap industry are two different things. And Kendrick believes in his heart that he represents the culture, and that what it is that Drake brings to the table is the industry. And
mm,
that's something that's the thing that has bastardized and perverted how people look at the culture, is what the industry is what the industry is selling to us.
and
And
that's what's so fascinating about it, because these guys represent two different. They're obviously both great. They're both legends,
mhm,
but it's why this rap beef to me. I wanted this. I always told Savon. I was like, man, I feel as though at some point the one beef we haven't gotten um is that is Drake and Kendrick.
yeah,
It's the World War III beef that hip hop. I think it's that added volume if there's 50 volumes in hip hop history, that's the 51st. That's the 51st volume because we're never gonna forget this.
Right.
And like you said, they're polar opposites. Drake is obviously Drake's got a great pen, but he is going to dominate the numbers game. He's going to be around every year. You're going to see him a lot. With Kendrick, it's like you don't know when he's gonna come back outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so rare to see him that when he comes back, you really appreciate it because you're like he's gonna drop something that's just like so impactful. But yeah, the polar opposite nature of them is what made this, I think, like you said, so fascinating because they represent two different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think? There's two more things obviously with Kendrick, the Not Like Us music video and the album. What are you expecting from? Are you expecting another To Pimp a Butterfly or a Good Kid, Mad City where he goes like West Coast bravado?
I
Like
that, but
yeah,
I'm expecting a more mature, refined version of what Good Kid, Mad City would be if he drops it now. If he
yeah,
drops it at the mind frame that Kendrick is at now, because the other piece to this is that um, when Drake did what he did on Tailor Made Freestyle, I think Kendrick also had to put it in his mind that y'all would have never disrespected the West like that if if we were at our full strength. And I think people feel like the West hasn't been at its full strength since Nip died.
yeah. He even said that. He said we never been the same since Nip died.
Mm-hmm. And
We've never been the
so,
same.
um, and I feel that to be true. I'm like Nipsey Nipsey Hussle was the person. Nipsey Hussle in in all of his maturity level and everything, Nipsey Hussle still carried the West on his back and was still one of those people that would approach you. He would approach you like a man, but he would approach you if he felt
Oh, for sure.
if he felt you was on some wild out.
You remember that? Remember that 2018 that 2018 fight between the Lakers and Rockets and like Nip was looking like, hey, like I'm just trying to see what's
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm here, whenever
I'll never forget
whenever
that.
y'all ready. Like it's not a thing. Like and that's how he approached that's how Nip approached the culture for real.
For sure.
I promise you, I honestly don't think Drake would have pulled something like Tailor Made Freestyle if Nip was still alive. Him and Nip would have had that conversation. If he'd have done it, him and Nip would have had that conversation. They'd been like, "Hey,
And there's business with Kendrick and Drake. There's more so you got like businesses, you got industry executives that are not gonna let anything cross a line. But with Nip, it would have been like, no, I don't have all that.
yeah,
Like it's we can talk about it.
yeah,
Like
we can have this conversation because I just do I do joint venture deals with these people, meaning I can walk away from this deal if I want to
any point, any point.
because All Money In is my label. Like
Yep, exactly.
and I've been so like I got a whole store on the corner of Crenshaw and Slauson that is a smart store. I'm fine. It's like
Oh yeah,
we all right. Yeah. So
exactly.
I think that was the thing with Kendrick. Kendrick was like, "Yo, no, like I gotta be the person to carry the West on my back now because the people that we had in place, the people that we had in place before Nip died, would have made it to where people wouldn't have felt like they could disrespect the West like that because he took that as a disrespect not to him but to the West Coast." And
Yeah.
like he was like people would have felt like they couldn't have disrespected the West like that if Nip was still in his space
Hmm.
that he was in. Um, but I think that's what we about to be at for real. I think that's where we legitimately about to be at, and I think that's where um I think that's where Kendrick gonna take us. as we get into the second half of the year. I can't wait to see this Not Like Us video. Like
It's gonna be wild.
all of the
It's
behind the
gonna be
scenes stuff around it. I can't wait to see the finished portion of it. I feel like we gonna I feel like we gonna get it sometime this week.
I was just about to say that it feels very much so like they're in the final editing stage of it, and they're like, "Yo, we about to drop this."
I feel like it's
What
fourth.
do you?
I feel like it's Fourth of July or Fourth
I
of
was
July
gonna
weekend.
say that. I was gonna say yes. Fourth of July weekend. It feels like that. What do you think though in terms of because we get that one line where Kendrick says, "I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he acts tough." Um, what do you think is Drake's next move? Like in terms of what do you feel like he's gonna just like let the summer ride out and let Kendrick do what he has to do? Because I mean, Drake is a quick responder, but this also feels like one of those where I think you let Kendrick ride out this moment and just kind of recalibrate for the fall. I don't think that's what he's gonna do, but I feel as though that's the smartest move.
Somebody's There's a rumor going around that he got another track, and he gonna drop that track the same time that Kendrick
Same
dropped
damn
Not
night,
Like Us video.
which by the way, I'm doing an emergency podcast if that happens because
Just call me on the phone, good brother.
I will. I honestly will, bro. Because like I saw that yesterday and I was just like, and it's interesting you said that you saw that too because I was like, man, the Not Like Us music video is gonna because I mean Kendrick he performed that track 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And he like the line that we all know he let it ride out. He's like, nah, you guys are gonna hear this line. So man, that would be wild. I don't know, man.
I
That would be insane. And there was that shooting at Drake's house, and Axe said that he was gonna drop that before that happened. So there could be some validity to it.
I that wouldn't be wise on Aubrey's part.
I think you should,
That
yeah.
that would not be wise on his part. And the reason I'm saying that is because people in Kendrick's camp, after Not Like Us dropped, and it pretty much was like a thing where people essentially was saying Kendrick won. People in Kendrick's camp was saying, "Bro got 10 tracks total, and y'all only heard 4 of them. Y'all still ain't heard. Y'all still ain't heard the other 6, 7 that he got. So he could do this. Like Kendrick could drop the video for Not Like Us at the
Shake
same
That Fire,
time
man.
Drake dropped this track, and Kendrick just be like, "Okay, wonderful. Here's another. Here's another one."
And that's my thing. Like, I feel as though what's so fascinating about this beef is that it almost because we've had all of the greats have had losses before. All of our great rappers have had losses before in a rap beef. And I think with the Pusha T one, Drake was like, okay, I can't outdo that. I mean, I think W Freestyle was a great diss,
Mm-hmm.
but when you got the Sun bombshell, I mean, you just gotta be like, you gotta tip your hat and be like, all right, I gotta move on. And he goes on, and the thing about it, that one doesn't sting as much because like he goes on to have a great summer. Scorpion is one of his biggest hit, like world tour.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, had a loss, but I'm back outside.
Like that one.
Everybody loves the "In My Feelings" video. It's still the summer of Drake. This one is like, bro, there is a actual song about someone calling me what they're calling me, which nobody wants to be called, and that's just being used as an anthem. So I feel as though that's the part of it that's just like, bro, I can't just let that slide. But at the same time, I think
If you're if you're
if
smart,
you're smart though, like
you you would let it slide. Because here's the thing.
I think you got to just do the Melodies album, and I have no problem with you just give it's the summer, and I think that's what rocks out. I honestly do. Honestly, think that's what rocks out more because they're just like, oh man, like we know you lost to him, but you give us another Melodies album, and we just vibe out this summer.
Because
We're
because
good.
here's because here's the thing. We colleges go back to school. So
They're practicing for it.
Drake, I'm not Drake. Kendrick drops Not Like Us video in July.
Mhm.
That pretty much carries the month of July. if it's done right. The video itself carries the month of July, with Not Like Us still being somewhere in the top five. You know,
Mhm.
like it's still the number one song. Like literally right now, still the number one song in the country.
Yeah.
It's between Not Like Us and $1 Million Baby. Um,
And it's Grammy nominated, which makes the which one of my favorite lines of the whole beef is the the Kendrick just opened his mouth. Someone go get him a Grammy right now. Which I mean, it shows the Grammy committee loves Kendrick, and I think them using a diss track as a nomination that does say a lot.
so
It definitely does say a lot.
it's gonna end bad. So
Yeah.
he carries the month of July with the video.
Mm.
Colleges come back in August, and
Yep.
somewhere between mid late August, college football season starts.
Yep.
You all don't think within summer
Mhm.
practice that HBCU bands haven't played this song's gonna go for the rest of the year,
Yep.
and it's gonna be bad because every HBCU in the country that has a really great band is gonna play this song at least one time.
Mm.
And Drake's not gonna be able to get away from it whenever he does his pop up at HBCU, pop up at people's HBCU homecomings, because he does that. Like
He does do that. He does do that. Yeah, for
he's
sure.
not gonna be able to get away from it. He gonna walk in. He gonna walk into somebody's HBCU homecoming, and the first thing that he gonna hear during halftime, and he gonna walk right out because everybody gonna look at him. Everybody gonna look at him in his little suite. They all gonna look at him, and it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
problem.
Bruh. It's so wild, honestly, because I think another part of this is also just the image optics battle is something that Drake has kind of always been able to control. Where he's like, it's like the public is like, oh, public is on his side, and for the first time, he's got like the masses, like because we saw Braun there, we saw DeMar DeRozan, we saw Westbrook, we saw a lot of players that have been, which I'm also wondering I'm also wondering like how Drake deals with the fact that not a lot of people are defending him. You know, not a lot of artists are defending, which I also think, man, when you had a 15-year run of just dominating and dominating, like some people they do want to see you fall. I think in terms of being a great artist, putting out hits, doing all that, he's gonna be fine. But it's just like the whole fact of like it's kind of lonely at the top.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can get lonely at the top when you have artists that look he's giving out hits for um Ross, Metro, Weekend, all those guys. But now I think at the tail end of a 15-year run, it's very interesting to see all the people that were cool with him but actually weren't cool with him.
Right.
Because I was like, man, all these guys just really didn't really honestly like him as it appeared to be. Like because Rocky, Kendrick, you know, the Club Paradise tour. It's so wild to me, like when we look back at the history of it, which guys actually rocked with Drake and which ones didn't. Because I think outside of Wayne and Nicki, it's been kind of quiet,
Very
you know,
quiet.
in terms of the most part.
Extremely quiet. And it also
Yeah.
speaks to the things that has been said that he's done on a personal nature, that the things that people have said that he's done on a personal nature, it's starting to these things are starting to catch up with you. You really should have just stuck to being the the melodies guy that gives us one of those good timestamp songs, um, timestamp lyrical songs that makes everybody be like, oh no, like Drake know how to rap for real. His pen game is nice, and then he come through with a bunch with a couple of good melodies and whatnot, and you know mess the game up for the summer going into the fall. to give us some good stuff
Okay.
to give us some good things to play during homecoming. So like, yeah, you should have just stuck with that. And but instead you want to be the tough guy, and you want to be the tough guy that does these things that's been said and that's not even been said sometimes in the private space. It's been said in public. Some of the things that he's done
Yeah.
that
And,
um is like a problem, and it's like it like everybody not gonna let you get away with this, but for only so long.
that yeah, and to that point, um, the interesting thing about the last few battles he's had, I feel as though the formula for Drake is so clear. When you are the witty guy, when you are the I'm gonna play the finesse game guy, if he would have played that battle with Push, I think it would have went better. But I think the thing that made him lose that was when he tried to kind of really go down to the gutter with Push. Like when he did the one line from Duppy freestyle that I think that really kind of hurt him was the Virginia Williams line. Like, I'm gonna let it ring on you like Virginia Williams, and I was just like, Push, you know how Push is. He said nobody can say my wife's name except for me. Like, and then obviously the Whitney line with Kendrick. I just think it goes to a different tier um when you start mentioning, I mean, guys' wives. I
And
mean,
and
I think that part of it,
and the issue is because once we this came up once we got like knee deep in the battle for real.
mm,
Whitney name been popping up in songs long before we got the first person shooter. Whitney name been popping up in songs, and
really,
it's a couple of other songs that and that's the thing people forget. They've been sending subliminal.
oh yeah, no, there's a decade long
Yeah,
subliminals. Yeah,
like they've been sending subliminals at each other since the control verse.
yes.
And
Hard part 4. When he says don't tell a lie about me. I won't tell the truth about you.
mhm,
Um, I'm trying to think of what Drake in the language when he says, your music is not that inspiring. I when you look back at it and peel back the layers, I'm like, man, it's been a decade of just, hey man, I'm just waiting on you.
mhm.
I'm just
I'm
waiting
just
on you
waiting
to
on
go.
you.
Like
I'm just waiting on
it's
you.
just been back and forth a decade long of just like bait.
Sharing bumps like a 2-man cell on King Kong, like
Oh man,
rap without a ghostwriter. What happened? Bars like a 2-man cell, like these
crazy.
like and then the other thing that people pointed out, pay attention when you get to Kendrick's set on the pop out. Pay attention to the order of the way that the songs came that he performed on the pop out. It's showing you that there were lines in all of those songs that he chose to perform in the pop out.
Mm.
There were lines in those songs that were direct. He been doing this. Like this been a thing.
He even added a line in Euphoria where he said, if you give me Tupac, I think the Tupac ring back,
Mm-hmm.
you might get some
Yep.
respect. So, and that was interesting because like that's the first time I've seen him perform Euphoria live, and I could tell. I mean, there were some blunders, but I mean, it's a 6 minute song. I mean, that's a lot to remember. And he added that line in it, and that's a thing when you're a rapper, and if you ever perform live, when you add a lyric to something that you've already performed, it does like take off a little bit of like, oh man, like, okay, where was the other line? Because he was really like, I'm trying to send another message to you. So that's why I think that's why it might not be over because Kendrick's added more lines to a 6 minute song that was already set. And hey, what I'm gonna be very listeners, I'm gonna be very intrigued when the Not Like Us music video drop because it's gonna be very interesting what happens afterwards.
Yes, it is.
I just can't now I'm really intrigued with what July 4th weekend is gonna look like.
Absolutely no. Absolutely. This is about to be the summer that we will not forget as far as as
Just
far
when
as
I
the
thought it was
culture
over,
is
man.
concerned.
Just when I thought it was over, Jamil pops up and just tells me, "Hey, man, we might have a round two.
Yeah,
We might have a round two." Oh goodness. I do want to real quick though before we close out, we did want to talk about this Lupe Fiasco Samurai album, because man, this was a treat. 8 song album. Obviously, he's got intricate stories over jazz production. Lupe is a guy that I think, man, that we don't talk about enough. We really don't talk about enough, and I think that's one guy. Speaking of beef, you don't want to get into a rap beef with. I think Lupe is one of the coldest MCs in the game, and this album was super short, but at the same time, man, I think he got done what he had to, and he delivered. And this is what I'm gonna revisit. I'm just gonna like over the weekend revisit it a lot.
yeah.
This is a treat. This is a treat of an album, and I think he did his thing with it, man.
I'm definitely going back and listening to this one. This is in the this is in the best albums of the year conversation as well. Um, the um, the headband joint, the actual title track itself, Samurai. Um, Cake, Cake is an incredible joint off of this album. Um, I just this like it's so much that you can really take from this album, and like really just look at and just be like, yo, Lupe is really in Lupe is really in his bag for real. Lupe, honestly, for this album, it's a healthy mixture of food and liquor
Yes.
and um food and liquor and lasers for me.
Mm,
Like it's like a heavy mixture of food and liquor and lasers. And like Lupe is really in his like real lyrical bag on this one. And you right. I was having a conversation about this uh with some friends of mine, and we all agreed like um the one person the one person you don't want to get into a real lyrical beef with is Lupe Fiasco. Like
yeah, man.
that's honestly like the one person that um that might make Kendrick Lamar sweat for real,
I think
and
so.
not even
I
might
really think so.
like
Like
would make
will
yeah.
honestly will. Yeah, he definitely will, man. Mumble rap. I think mumble rap was telling a story too in that one too. I think listening to that track, I was like, man, that one I gotta run back a little more because he was trying to say something
Mm-hmm.
indirectly, for sure. Because I think he values lyricism, he values storytelling, and Lupe is on a run.
Cake is my
Lupe the
Cake is my jam on the album. Cake
yeah,
is
cake is
Cake is the
crazy.
one.
Cake is crazy.
Yeah, Cake is nuts. I appreciate this. I appreciate this, Lupe. I appreciate as we like to call it Caesar cut Lupe, Caesar fade Lupe.
Yeah.
I appreciate Caesar fade Lupe. Listen, like people forgot, Jay Z really did say in the interview with Gayle King that the only reason he hadn't cut his hair yet is because the kids don't want him to.
Hey, perfect topic to close out on. Do we get a new Jay Z album this year? Does it finally happen?
If within the next 3 to 4 months we get low Caesar fade Jay Z,
Please, please, please.
if
Return back,
we get low
return back,
Caesar fade Jay Z,
please.
it's a problem. It's a problem. I'm not saying I don't appreciate the locks, good brother. I don't appreciate the
Okay,
wicks, but if we get low Caesar fade Jay
that's
Z,
not. Oh,
low Caesar fade Jay Z
And
is
Jay, we know, seeing year after year of Nas dropping these albums, you wanna say
he
something.
want
We
to
know
say
you want to get back
something.
outside.
Nas
We know you want to get outside. It's been what 7 years since he's dropped the album.
Nas has had a six
Nah,
album. Nas has had a 6 album 4 year run,
yeah, man.
and y'all think Jay Z don't?
He's not gonna say anything. Come on.
Come on now.
And yes, I will say it like I always say, and you've mentioned it. 444. It's a classic album. It's a classic
A
album.
whole album of
I
introspective,
love,
a whole
I
album of
love
introspective Jay Z.
and you said that the other night, bro. Yeah, introspective Jay is great.
Introspective Jay Z is phenomenal. Like listen, but every now and then, I want to hear, um, I, I, I want to hear some drug raps, Jay. Like every now and then, every, every now and then
um,
you want to hear Jay Z with the drug talk, and it's like
Drug Dealer Anonymous is insane. Drug Dealer Anonymous is
you want to hear
insane.
that Jay Z every now and
Come
then,
on now. Come on now.
and that Jay Z as a grown up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
And we get the low Caesar fade because he's just like, yo, kids,
It's a two for two. It's
yo,
a two for two.
yo, kids, this is what the people want. So I'm gonna give them this, and I'm gonna grow the hair back in
It's
2025.
gonna happen. I'm telling you. It may not happen, but we want it to happen. We want it to
We
happen.
do.
So manifestations for sure. We want that, and we want to see what Jay's talking about in 2024 because you and you just said it. Nas earlier. Nas is probably gonna drop an album of DJ Premier. You're gonna let him drop seven albums and nah, come on,
You're not gonna
fight back.
you're not gonna let bro do
Not
that.
gonna let that happen. You're not gonna let that happen,
You're not
bro.
gonna let bro do
Absolutely
that.
not. Well, Jamil, bro, we could do this another 10, 15 minutes, but I appreciate you having you on. All your insights, analysis. This is always a good time, man.
No, man, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate the time. Um, Tell Savon I said what's up as always.
Absolutely.
And it is a pleasure to be on with y'all over at full scope. And if y'all get the opportunity to,
Listeners, yes, listeners, let's check out plug your podcast.
yeah, man. If y'all get the opportunity to, please follow us on IG at BLKFLA the podcast. Again, that's
Yes.
BLKFLA the podcast. We drop our podcast the second and fourth Thursday of every month. We on our mid season finale, so we're gonna take a break in July, and then we're coming back in August to do some really great stuff.
Absolutely, man. Love what you're doing. I see your daughter. She want you'll find a good fight.
That part.
But that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Wellington Burns. This has been Full Scope. See you later.